Hello and welcome to the next video. In this video I'm going to be talking about an experience I had while traveling in Rome, Italy back in 2014. I'll call this the Colosseum taxi. During my, I believe it was a 9-day trip to Rome, Italy, I had gone around and taken a lot of pictures, whether it was going to Trajan's Forum, going to Trevi's Fountain, and so on, doing all the kind of touristy stuff. Especially if you've never been there, I highly recommend doing all that stuff, plus other things like eating local food and whatnot. Anyhow, I remembered I had researched a lot of the places that I wanted to go and things that I could do if time permitted beforehand. And one of the things that I stood out in my mind in terms of the list of photographs I wanted was to take a picture of the Colosseum at night. Now, during the trip, I forget if I had taken pictures during the day when I went as part of a tour group or had done this afterwards. But one particular night, I thought to myself, now today would be a good night for me to take a taxi and go out and check out the Colosseum and get that nice, nighttime exposure with the Colosseum lit and maybe a car, going by on a road somewhere in the frame. So flagged down a taxi. He drove me out there, and as we're getting there, and I see the Colosseum in the distance, I happen to notice it's not lit up. So, unfortunately, I don't speak Italian. I do speak Spanish, and Spanish and Italian, and from what I've heard, Romanian are very understandable, or at least if you speak one, chances are 80% or more will be understood by the other person. And I know some people might think, oh, well, Italians find it very offensive if you speak to them in a language not their own. Not true. And I might get into that in another video. But anyway, taxi stops. I'm looking at the Colosseum thinking, oh man, maybe they light it at a certain time and I'm just here a little early. Maybe it's certain times of the year. What's going on? And I think it was during the week too, so I thought, oh, maybe it's a weekend thing. So I go to the taxi driver, excuse me, when do they turn on the Colosseum lights? And there was like maybe one or two words that he didn't understand. I think the word I was using in Spanish to say illuminate was different than iluminado, which is I think the word that he used. But he said, oh, cuando la prende las luces. And he goes, iluminar. Oh, no. And I'm going to translate back to English. He's like, oh, no, they only do that on special occasions. They don't normally keep the lights on every evening or for any period of time in the evening. I go, oh. So, unfortunately, I wasn't able to get the pictures that I wanted. And so I thought to myself, well, I don't want to sit here and take long exposures of a dark Colosseum. So I said to him, or I asked him, do you know if the Vatican is lit at night at least? And he says, oh, yeah, every night it's lit. Do you want to go there instead? I said, yes, please. So drove out there instead, got there, and I'll put in the picture that I took. Not the best picture in the world, but at least there's some lights and it kind of creates the mood. But it's definitely a lesson learned when you travel to a place looking to get a certain picture that you've probably seen other people do. Make sure to get the fine detailing in terms of if you're able to get that shot, because the lighting conditions may not be what you want them to be when you go. So it's a lesson learned, but still glad I went. Still glad I learned, experienced Rome and got to see the Colosseum even though it wasn't lit. Anyway, that's my story. Hope you guys enjoyed it. See you in the next one.